have a quote for you today from an artist I've been following for years, who I've admired, who I early on wanted to model my career after, and I think she's wonderful. Her name is Britt Bass-Turner. She's an abstract painter. And this is a quote. I don't even remember where I heard it or where I read it, but this is her. She says, "We don't need thousands or even hundreds of clients. Often we just need the few. Let's not drive ourselves crazy as we try to appeal to the masses. Let's find the few who really appreciate our work and want to be lifelong supporters." That quote I have like at the bottom of my work document that I look at every day, and it helps me so much. And recently I've been thinking a lot about the idea of being good or being good enough, meaning like as it relates to art, like good, talented, being the best, these kind of things that can really kind of mess with our heads, I think. So I wanted to talk more about that today. If you're new here, my name's Emily. I am a fine artist. I'm an abstract painter and embroidery artist, and I also coach other artists to grow their businesses. So if you would like to take in more of what I have to say, then like and subscribe to the channel, because I am sharing more and more growth tips, practical tips, and also mindset help, because I think that's so important for artists. It's so hot. Okay. What I love about Britt's quote is that it just kind of takes the pressure off, this idea of kind of being good for the sake of being good, like being the most talented for the sake of being the most talented. And I feel like as a young artist, like as a teenager, that really stood in my way. Like I was a lifelong artist. I was obsessed with art as a kid into my teens, but I always had in the back of my mind, like, I want to do this for my job. But I always was insecure about it. I always felt like other kids in my class were like the art teacher's favorite, or other kids were good enough to go to art school for college. It didn't even occur to me to go to art school because I just thought like, oh, I'm not good at drawing. I can't be an artist. So just to say that this idea of being talented, being good, it's really hard. It's important to reach for excellence, and if you have a passion for something, to get better and better at it. But to what degree do we need to do that? So I think one of the things that has helped me is to kind of think, what am I being good enough for? And actually a therapist of mine helped me with this a couple of years ago. She made such a good point. She phrased it like, it's good enough, like literally use that word enough. I'm not necessarily trying to have my work represented by certain big galleries or museums or a certain type of collector. My work is good enough for the people that I connect with, for the people who love it, and for the people that I want in my world. So it's good enough for that. It doesn't need to be something that it's not. It doesn't need to go beyond that. It's good enough for my needs, for me to enjoy the process of making it, and for people to enjoy the process of experiencing it, and for us to build relationships together. And to me, that is like the end all be all point of being an artist. So wherever you are in that spectrum, just thinking about, is your work good enough for whatever your goal is? So if your goal is to work with a certain type of audience, or get into a certain show, or work with a certain collector, or to have a certain feeling when you're making art, maybe it's that you really like that feeling of like taking on a challenge and making something that is so technically strong, and that is what's good enough for you. And I think it's really important to have your own barometer for what good enough means. And I think maybe it's just me, and maybe I'm just more in my head about this, but it feels to me like it's more so for creatives than in other fields, which is probably not true. But I kind of think there's this idea that you have to be so good and stand out so much and be so much more talented than everyone else to feel like you can have a successful career. And I think that's why I was held back so much when I was younger, because I was just like, well, I'm not going to be at that level, and I don't really want to put the energy into being at that level. That's not me. And so I thought, well, there it goes, like I can't have an art career. And I think that's so sad that I thought that way, and that I'm sure there are other people who think that way. So I just want to say that I guess this whole video is about this fine line between being good enough in the sense that like you take pride in your work, and again, like you want to get better, and you put energy into it, and you make it the best that you want it to be, whatever your best is. But balancing that with not feeling like you have to be the best, you have to beat out these other people in order to see success. Because maybe at one point it was like that, you know, like 50 years ago or 100 years ago or less, there were only so many spots in these huge galleries, and huge galleries is often how a lot of artists could make a living doing it. But now we have the magic of the internet and we have Instagram, and there are ways to connect with much smaller audiences to where you don't need to clamor to be better and better and better. You just need to be the best again for your audience, to connect with the people that you want to connect with. And on that note, when I think of the idea of being good, it's often sort of implied that it's compared to something or someone else. So I definitely want to touch more on comparisonitis for artists in a future video, because comparison and competition and things like that get in my head a lot, and I know it's like that for other artists. And I have a lot to share about that also that I think can really help. But one thing I'll say today is that the magic of art is that it's subjective. And there are things like, maybe if you're looking at something really functional like an air conditioner, you might look at the features and be like, okay, this one is like objectively better for these reasons or whatever. But art, as we know, is not like that. It's subjective. And the amazing thing about that is that it means that what's good is what connects to people. Like, that is the goal. Like, does it connect to people? And yeah, you might be able to look at certain technically really successful art and be like, that is good, like that is a good drawing. And it's good to have that vocabulary and to know something that is really powerful when you see it. But I think for, in the terms of like what I'm talking about, it's kind of, again, being good for the audience, for the relationship, for kind of the energy and the emotion that you want it to be. I think about this a lot, and I heard someone else talk about it recently in terms of this idea of, there's someone else already doing this, so can I do it? Sometimes even with art, you might think that even though there are so many different ways to make art, you might think like, oh, well, someone else is doing colorful paintings with embroidery. Can I still do that? And the answer is yes. There's totally room for everyone, because there are all these like subtle reasons why one collector might enjoy or resonate with one artist more than another, or they might like both. I mean, people have big walls. They can collect plenty of art. It's not like something that people buy one of and they're like, cool, like I have a painting or I have a print, I'm not gonna buy from any other artist. It's something that's literally like to be collected. So art, I think, almost more than anything else, can truly be community over competition. Like, there's no reason for us to have competition, because choosing art is so emotional. And so I was listening to this coach I like earlier, and she was talking about how it's interesting that she gave as an example like two coaches that she follows, and one who she really, really resonates with, and one who she doesn't quite as much. And it's funny because on paper they teach the same thing, they have very similar beliefs and values, but one just connects more. And I'm sure for other people, it's the other person. And so it's the same for art. It could be like there are 10 artists making, abstract florals, and no one needs to be better than the other one, because there are 10 different people who will like each one. So if you're finding yourself in that kind of like comparison trap and thinking, oh, there's other artists doing this too, think about something that you like. Maybe it's music, maybe it's books, or like for me, I listen to a lot of like guided meditations on YouTube, and I'm so particular about which ones I like. And if I showed you the people that I listen to, you'd be like, oh, they're kind of all saying the exact same thing, but some of them just connect with me more. And there's room for all of those people to find their audience and to find success in what they're doing. So think about something like that for you. Just realize like, oh yeah, like I happen to like this person more than another person, but it doesn't mean that there can't be multiple people doing the same thing. So I think that really helps me calm me down when I'm going over the edge, like in comparison. So again, this is a big topic for me, so I definitely want to share more about comparison and competition and just the feeling of like good enoughness and worthiness. I think it's so important. So I really hope that you got something out of that, and I'll see you soon.